Welcome to the Magnet Poll, where we dive into Miami-Dade's most innovative and exciting magnet programs that truly make Miami-Dade County Public Schools your best choice in education. I'm Jacqueline Basayo, Executive Director with the Office of School Choice and Parental Options, filling in for your host, Dr. Magda Castro Pereira. And today's episode spotlights two magnet high schools that represent the power of focused, purpose-driven education. BioTECH at Richmond Heights, the nation's only conservation biology-themed public high school, and Law Enforcement Officers Memorial High School, a nationally recognized program preparing the next generation of leaders in law, criminal justice, and homeland security. Joining us today, we have Principal John Sterling of BioTECH, an educational leader with 23 years of experience and an extensive STEM background, and Principal William Aristide from Law Enforcement Officers Memorial High School. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm incredibly excited to have this conversation with the both of you today. We've been doing this now for a few weeks now, bringing these conversations to the community, really showcasing our schools. And I think there's something to be said about being able to have these conversations and really talk about the ins and outs of what it is that we're offering versus reading something on a website or learning about something over social media. And both of your schools really offer such a unique learning environment, something that's so different from a traditional high school or even school like we remember it when we were going through it. So I'm excited to really dive in and really kind of explain to families, what is it that we offer at BioTECH? What is it that we're offering at Law Enforcement Officers Memorial High School? So I'm going to go ahead and start with you, Principal Sterling, and BioTECH. BioTECH is truly a STEM-focused, conservation biology-themed high school. It's an environment where students don't just go to learn science, they're there to do science. You're nationally recognized for your work in conservation, for your work in environmental science. Students have the opportunity to learn at Zoo Miami, Fairchild Botanical Gardens. So a lot to cover, a lot to unpack. And so I don't want to speak for you. So I'm definitely going to turn it over to you to tell us a little bit about, BioTECH. What is that for families that are listening and maybe hearing about BioTECH for the first time? What is BioTECH? What does conservation biology mean? And what does that look like at your school? How does that come to life at your school?
Yeah. Well, thank you again for having us. Conservation biology begins with an idea of biodiversity. With biodiversity, we teach about the variety of life in the world, the variety of life in the ecosystem or in a habitat. Then that leads us to conservation biology, where we end up teaching students to learn more about that and protecting those habitats, protecting those ecosystems. Because what we find is that species in those ecosystems, when they fail, the entire ecosystem could fail, which affects agriculture, affects our economy, affects everything. And it can affect species in that ecosystem. So from freshman orientation, students are immersed. They take a pledge that they're going to be research and conservationists, and we focus on preserving biodiversity at all costs. With that, their freshman year, they're immersed in zoology classes at Zoo Miami, as we have a campus there. 10th grade year, they're immersed in botany with our Fairchild Tropical Botanical Garden campus. Then their junior year, they declare almost like a major. Are they going to go the botany route or the zoology route? At that time, they have different opportunities for internships during the summer. And then their senior year culminated with a year-long internship working behind the scenes at Zoo Miami or behind the scenes at Fairchild, just like we had this year. So that's what we offer.
Incredible. And I know, you're a STEM-focused high school. We know that in any high school, right? Any school, you're going to receive some sort of STEM education. Obviously, you have that focus on conservation, but the days of your students look very different, right, than a traditional student would in a traditional high school, right? They're not just going into this building and learning. What sets you guys apart, right? Aside from this focus and this theme of study of conservation biology, a school day at BioTECH looks very different. So what does that look like for your students?
Thank you. So the first thing it looks like is just a smaller setting, which is more of a family atmosphere. Students do not get lost in the number because everybody knows their name. And then when I do exit interviews with all my seniors, they appreciate being in that family atmosphere where they know that everybody knows their name and knows that they're missing. Outside of that, when you start your day early in the morning, 7:10, trying to wake up, and you're hearing a deep moan from lions, and you're not in the savannah, but you're at class at Zoo Miami, or if you're walking across the botanical garden early morning after sunrise, the dew is still fresh, it's just a different atmosphere that students feel. And with our botany interns, this year in particular, our botany interns just got back from Puerto Rico, where they presented their research at the American Society for Gravitational Space Research. Again, this is part of our partnership with Fairchild, our partnership with NASA, where they work on growing crops in space for long duration flights. And everybody's aware of recently with NASA, we had an 8-day mission with a Boeing test craft that lasted 93 days.
Yeah.
However, they need nutrition for those 93 days. So they have ready prepared meals, but they also have something called the veggie, where they can have nutrition there from plants. And we have an analog of the veggie at our campus at Fairchild Garden. It's called a growth chamber, where we grow and we test, and we go to NASA Kennedy Space Center annually to test in partnership there.
Incredible. And these are kids in high school. So we're talking
Yes.
9th, 10th, 11th, 12th graders.
Yep.
And I think what's important to note is that it's not just your typical field trip. They're not going to the zoo like a field trip would, or they're not going to Fairchild just to go look at the grounds. They're actually taking class there. They're learning, right? They're working with the rhinoceros. I'm not sure if they are, but they're working with animals, right?
Yeah, they work.
They're working with the scientists, the zoologists, your botanist at Fairchild. And I think that's so incredible to see at the high school level. Obviously, I think it takes a certain type of student that really is interested in it. But again, it takes that learning outside of that textbook and into a different environment. And it really probably changes the way that they see themselves as learners and as scientists, right? Because that's kind of what they're doing.
Once they're behind the scenes, I mean, they are a part of the team. They're working right hand in hand with the scientists. They're working in an animal hospital. Again, these are things that we can't post because it's different requirements there, but they're working right there hand in hand with the scientists and researchers.
Incredible, incredible. And now, Principal Aristide, in your school, there's no conservation biology theme, but definitely the students are immersed in what they're studying. You have a unique environment. You're located right next to City of Miami Police Training Academy. The students are really immersed in hands-on industry-related topics. So what does that look like at your high school? What are the students receiving? I know that there's certain days that students are even dressed up in law enforcement uniforms. So tell us a little bit about that, especially for our viewers and listeners that maybe haven't heard about your high school.
Absolutely. It's a program. The school's been around for about 13 years. We have a deep partnership with the City of Miami Police Department. We do have 3 separate strands at the school. For example, we have a law strand, we have a forensic science strand, and we have a homeland security strand. With each of those strands, the students are having in-depth relations with the various departments and municipalities that support our school. For example, if I speak about our law strand, our students are actually being taught by folks who are attorneys or who've worked in the law field for quite some time. So they bring that hands-on experience that kids may not necessarily have the opportunity to do that. When we look at our forensic science, they're being taught by folks who worked in the field, biologists, scientists, folks who have worked many, many years working at different universities and so forth. So all that adds to it. And one of the things that we're most proud of is our homeland security. Many of those young people end up going into policing, FBI. They go into anything pertaining to that particular field. So we're very, very proud of that. We do have industry certification, for example, in homeland security. Our kids take what we call the 911 exam, and we have a 100% passing rate. Most of those young folks who take advantage of that graduate from high school with this certification, and most municipalities start them off at least $55,000 a year at the age of 18. For example, BSO, that's one of our partners that we work with. We bring in BSO officers, as well, of course, City of Miami, Miami Beach, Coral Gables, North Miami Beach, the various departments around the county. Our kids get a chance to work on them. But with the 911, a lot of our kids, by the time they graduate from high school, they have multiple agencies trying to hire them. So it's a wonderful, wonderful school. Our law program, we work closely with the various, because we're right in downtown Miami, where all the courthouses are there. We have state, local, as well as federal courts right there where our kids are able to have judges come in and work with them. We have hands-on experience working with attorneys from all over. So it's been a wonderful opportunity. Our forensic science, those kids who are interested in that field, we have partnership with Miami-Dade County, City of Miami. And again, the experts come in from the outside to work with our young people. So we're very proud of the work that's happening there.
Definitely. And I mean, they're getting a traditional high school education, right? They graduate with a high school diploma, but again, now they're getting all this other exposure in the field of study. And that we're not just talking about, students that maybe want to go into the police force, where you're talking about students that maybe want to go to law school. This is a great way to set themselves apart from those students that they're competing against to get into the university. Or like you said, maybe some kids don't want to pursue an education as far as university level education, but they'll graduate with this industry certification that is free of cost to families, right?
Absolutely.
And so already they're graduating high school so far, above where maybe other peers that are starting to pursue those careers. And again, such a great opportunity through our public school system. When we talk about Miami-Dade County Public Schools, us as the magnet office, but, just the district that on its own, we always like to talk about how we're the third largest school district. And what does that mean? And I think some families maybe are like, oh, third largest, that seems so large. My child will get lost. But here we are. We have 2 high schools that do offer those smaller class settings where it is a little bit more personalized. But with being this third largest school district, we have resources, right, that at our disposal. We have community organizations knocking on our door to really work with us to really impact the future and the kids that are feeding into these careers. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about what those partnerships look like. I know we talked, Principal Sterling, about Zoo Miami and Fairchild, but I know you have many more community partners that really are key in what sets your programs apart and really makes them different from, a traditional school. So if you want to tell us a little bit about what that looks like.
So yes, in addition to those, Miami-Dade College and FIU has been great partners for us. And next year, UF will be a new class that we're going to launch, a new dual enrollment class for wildlife and biodiversity, where students are going to earn 6 college credits. So that's going to be a new thing for us next year. In addition to Zoo Miami and Fairchild Garden, which is, they allow us to do what we do. Our classroom is in the field. So that's the biggest connection for our students. In addition to that, though, we have a lot of great partners with Everglades National Park, which takes our kids out all the time and gives them exclusive opportunities. Biscayne National Park as well. Miami-Dade County, working with RER and Environmental Endangered Lands, allows our students access to certain sites where they can go out. And I've even taken my own family to go out on different beach cleanups and clean up the environment, because again, it's about the habitat to make sure that it's resilient and strong. We also have Florida Fish and Wildlife, U.S. Fish and Wildlife that we work with. And again, each unique partner is giving us a different opportunity for our students. So we also have a cohort of students this year working with Frost Museum, working on marine conservation, because again, conservation is everywhere. So we have a cohort of students working with Frost, and it's our 2nd year doing that as well. So there's so many partners, but they all provide something for us. And then next week, they even come in to do a special conservation career day, exposing students to the different fields which are there available for them.
Amazing. And I know, obviously, we're talking about this hands-on experience. These are learning expeditions that the kids are doing. What does that look like as far as, like, is this happening every day? Like, are the kids physically going to the zoo every day? Are they going to Fairchild? What does that look like, just for families that maybe don't know?
So yes, our students are at the zoo every day. They're at Fairchild every day. It depends on what track or what year they're currently in. So they're there every day. However, in addition to that, we have many conservation efforts where students are going into the field, going into the ocean. You can look at our Instagram. The kids were snorkeling last week. They're always researching and doing extra conservation efforts. So while Zoo Miami and Fairchild is our base, the students have opportunity to go out to different places as well. And then within our ecosystem, we also work with schools. So the zoology and the botany track is also found within Richmond Heights Middle School with Dr. Saudi as the principal, and also Pine Lake Elementary School with Ms. Rivas. So again, within that track, they can work their way up to have more opportunities becoming a conservationist at the age in the kindergarten.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I did want to ask you, for families that were listening that maybe don't have kids at the high school level, right? What can they start doing now? And I'm glad that you brought up that we do have a pathway beginning in elementary school with
Yeah.
Pine Lake Elementary, going into that middle school level, which shares a campus with BioTECH, and then obviously ending with you at BioTECH. I think it'd be a great opportunity to bring them on to really talk about that pathway, just because we live in Miami, right? We have these beaches that we have to clean up and we have to take care of. I know recently I visited your school and you celebrated a big milestone, 10 years.
Yes.
So very exciting. And you do have a whole garden outside that you call Living Lab. I can't
Our
remember.
land lab.
Our land lab, right.
Yes.
And so, it's not just so much that they're going into these community partners, but you also have that in that environment that they're showing up to every day at school.
Yes, through partnership with Fairchild Tropical Botanical Garden, we were able to transform that space, and now it's a learning space and also available for the community that the kids can all student build.
That's awesome. And then Principal Aristide, I know we talked a little bit about all of the partnerships that you have within your school, and that really is what kind of helps the success that you have within your programs. How does it prepare the students for what they want to do next, and where do the students go to after they leave you? Do you feel like students continue that pathway, or what happens
I think
after that?
one of the things about our school, it's almost sort of paramilitary in the sense that the kids actually are taught and trained by these experts. You'll see the level of respect that the kids have for adults in the building. You'll see the level of discipline that's engaged each and every day. One of the pathways that I've seen, and like I've mentioned, City of Miami, we have a very close relationship. We share the same building.
I know.
And many times they'll have police officers come in the classroom and work with our kids. But I've noticed quite a few of our young people, after graduating from high school, actually fall right into becoming police officers. They learn a lot. And departments like to come to our school because a lot of these young people are prepared. They're ready. They understand. They have the background knowledge. I mean, they're not quite police officers, but they understand what goes into it. I think one of the beauties of my school is that a lot of kids, close to 25% of my seniors every year, actually finishes with an AA degree from Miami-Dade College before even getting their high school diploma. Many kids will march in May at Miami-Dade, and then in June they'll march with the high school. So we're very proud of that. We're proud of our kids who are able to transition into the world of work with the policing or with the 911 aspect. We're also very proud of the fact that a lot of our kids are getting their AA degrees, which helps parents, by the way.
Absolutely.
Those first 2 years are absolutely free.
Yeah.
If your child, is able to get that education for free, they enter regular universities as juniors and at the age of 18. That's a good thing.
Incredible.
And
Absolutely.
so those are some of the things. Our partnership with the City of Miami, again, we have all the Coral Gables, Miami Beach, North Miami, Doral, all these different police departments come in and they lend a hand because they themselves want a certain person coming into their field. They want the discipline. They want kids who are motivated, who want to become police officers. And again, with the partnership with the various courts, again, as I mentioned earlier, whether it's federal or state or local, we have judges. For example, Judge William Thomas works closely with us. There's another judge, Judge Daryl Trewick. We actually have a courthouse at the school, and the kids actually go through the process as if they were presenting a case before a judge.
Yeah.
So all those experiences are great.
Absolutely.
We have a great partnership with Miami-Dade County Public Schools Police Department, as well as the City of Miami and other municipalities in terms of our Police Explorers program. Police Explorers program lends young people the opportunity to ride with police officers, learn under police officers, learn the various aspects of the field. So by the time they're graduating, they'll know exactly
Absolutely.
where they want to go.
What they want to do.
Yeah. And so having that type of partnership and having those individuals around makes it that much great. we started a environmental science program through our forensic science. So we actually have young folks who are going out and studying, in colleges and the various aspects of STEM when it comes to our forensic science program, and of course the forensics of policing.
Yeah.
All of that combined to make, well, I think we have a pretty good, well-rounded program
Absolutely.
when it comes to individuals who are interested in the various aspects of law.
Absolutely. And even if they decide while they're there that that's not what they want to pursue, they're graduating with an AA, and you have other things that you're exposing them to, such as the environmental science, which now you can partner with Principal Sterling and that land lab. And so, kind of on the topic of the careers, we know the same way that these kids are leaving prepared for law enforcement careers, we have STEM careers that are in high demand. You're talking about kids making food that they're going to eat in space, and we see that in the news, like, right, we just had a whole female team get launched into space yesterday, and then we have, like you mentioned, those astronauts were up there longer than expected. So do you feel like the students, after they leave your school, is that what they're continuing? Are they doing conservation related fields? Are they staying in science fields? Like, where do your students go next? I know you're a relatively young school, but you've already had a few graduating classes. Where have they gone to?
So it varies where they go. We go to all universities. However, the biggest thing with STEM is that it's such a strong field for problem solving.
Yeah.
In any career, any supervisor wants to hire somebody who can solve problems, bring the problem and possible solutions, and STEM will take you there. And one of the great things with STEM is that as we're about to graduate the class of 2025, there's jobs that exist today that were not really prevalent or around in 2020, just 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And we have some students recently who had a wildcam project where they set up trail cameras, cellular trail cameras in different preserves that are closed to the public and also parks. And with that, they were able to record wildlife using AI software. And with that, they're able to identify them. And they had to learn and train the AI because the gopher tortoise, for example, which is a keystone species, means a lot of species depend on it. It wasn't recording correctly. So they had to train AI to let them know this is a gopher tortoise. And with that, I see that to say that could be a career field, because right now that is an AI wildlife engineer or AI wildlife specialist that wasn't here. We also work with United Nations recently, with UNESCO, with our Biscayne National Park collaboration. I also want to make sure that I said Everglades Foundation. I'm not sure if I did, but they're one of our strong partners as well. Through this sample, they're able to collect water samples and identify over 4,000 marine species. And with that, they found out that half of them were fish, 120 of them were identified as endangered.
Wow.
And now their main finding was that the ocean is warming at a rate where these endangered species may be really a threat to be extinct, because their thermal range is almost reached. So again, this is the type of career fields that they transition to, and they're actually already doing that work, and that's an environmental DNA technician. So they're already doing the fields. It's just that when they find out they did the work already, the field already has a name. Yeah. And in 2030, 5 years from now, more will be existing.
Absolutely incredible. Like, I can't imagine having done that in high school. Like, I definitely was not doing that in high school. And here we are, just to show, how much education has evolved. And I know we say Miami-Dade County Public Schools is your best choice, but I'm a true believer in it. I mean, and you guys are both prime examples of that. So we always close our program asking one final question, because we know that every school has something that draws families and students to them. So in one word, if each of you can tell us, what is your magnet pull? What is it that is pulling families to your programs and pulling students to what it is that you offer?
Okay. So I would say for me, application, if I could explain just a little bit.
Yeah.
Being a former science teacher, part of the lab report was application. How does this apply to the real world? We're solving real world problems in the real world on site. So that application, you're never going to have that student who says, oh, how does this apply to the real world? So since the application in real life problems being solved in the real world, I would say application.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
How about you?
I would say opportunity. It's an opportunity for a kid to be given that chance to make a difference in this world, in the society. I think whether they choose to go into the law career, or they want to become police officers, or they're looking to do something in the forensic aspect of it, but we provide that opportunity. When you see young folks actually working hand in hand with experts in the field on a daily basis, uh, that's an opportunity. And you could see, I mean, I have kids that enter the building as ninth graders. Day one, they want to become police officers.
They
You know,
know.
they really, they want to. They're really excited about it. So, have given them the opportunity, give them the chance to experience what these various fields go through. I mean, how many times young people actually get the time to sit down and interact with judges
Right.
and attorneys, forensic scientists, police officers, folks who are in the field. So I believe it's an opportunity. And if we could give young folks, regardless of their background, regardless of the situation, the beauty of their diverse backgrounds, I think that's all an amazing thing. And compliments to the Magnet office for the work that you all are doing, for supporting us and making these things a reality. And I look forward to more and more great things coming out
Absolutely.
of both of our schools.
Yeah,
Actually,
we're doing great work, and you
Mhm.
guys are spearheading this work at your schools, and really thank you so much for being here with me today, for being able to bring the story of your schools to the community, to really kind of give them a glimpse inside what is happening inside of BioTECH, what is happening inside of law enforcement officer Memorial High School. So thank you both for joining us
Thank you.
today.
Thank you.
And thank you to our listeners and viewers, as well as Miami's Community News for their partnership and allowing us to bring these stories to the community through this platform. As a reminder, both BioTECH and Law Enforcement Officers Memorial High School require an application for admission. The Magnet application opens annually from October 1st through January 15th. There is a second opportunity to apply, and that just opened up on April 15th. So families are encouraged to continue exploring our Magnet programs through our website at miamimagnets.org. That's it for this episode of the Magnet Pull. Keep being drawn to what inspires you, and we'll see you next time.